What's happening, guys? So tell me, do you still have one of those unrealistic fears? You know, that one thing you've been afraid of since, like, birth? That one thing that just makes you go, like heights, the dark, closets, spiders, lightning, the economy, little people? Okay, that one might just be me. But imagine, like, little people living in your closet. And they're waiting for you to leave the door open at night so they can escape and, like, rummage through your dresser, raid your fridge, unsort your mail, eat one sock of every pair you own, balance the national debt, leave the toilet seat up. I mean, all kinds of horrible shenanigans. I'm not kidding. I used to have my mom check to make sure that the closet door was closed every night. I still do. And I'm almost 30. I don't care. I'll ask for her help. I'm gangsta. Ma, closet door open. May have been open all night. Bring backup and cheese puffs. You know, those kind of fears. This bit was submitted by username Bing. In the year 1982, a worldwide phenomenon began. You remember these creepy collectibles? That's right, the Cabbage Patch Kids. Originally created by Xavier Roberts in 1978 as a hand-sewn doll. Okay, he didn't actually create the Cabbage Patch Kids. He showcased his hand-sewn rag dolls in an arts and crafts show in San Francisco in 1978. And an executive of Coleco Toys happened to be at the very same show. He sees these dolls and he thinks, that's really creative. I can copy and mass-produce these dolls and create the biggest toy craze known to man. So Coleco ends up buying the idea from Xavier Roberts, and in 1982, they released the very first Cabbage Patch Kids. And the toy market blows up. I mean, these things were big. Like, Tickle Me Elmo big. Bigger, like Justin Bieber big. No, bigger, like Tickle Me Bieber big. So big, in fact, that when the US of A ran out, people flew to London, France, and Sri Lanka to pick up a doll. Okay, like a radio show host convinced 2,000 people to go to a college stadium, hold up their American Express cards, and Cabbage Patch Kids would rain from the skies. 4 hours go by, and not one Cabbage Patch Kid falls. And all 2,000 plus people are outraged. Maybe they should have used Visa. Well, it didn't take too long for someone to target these toys to ruin it for a lot of kids. This guy, bam, Mr. William A. Gothard, a respected pastor of his time, focused his righteous sights on these child toys. His first attack, he mails a letter to the actual manufacturing company stating that the dolls violate the first commandment. Thou shalt not own creepy toys? No, thou shalt not have other gods before me. Well, no, not me, like God. I don't think Bill took into consideration that toy companies are not held to scriptural dogmatic law. And his whole argument was about the adoption contract. Alright, so when the doll is purchased, the child fills out a simple contract of adoption and sends it to Babyland General Hospital in Cleveland, Georgia. And a few days later, the child receives adoption paperwork stating that they're the parent of this doll. Also, it was rumored that if the doll was defective and you sent it back to the manufacturing company, if the problem could not be fixed, it was rumored that you get a death certificate of the doll. Ugh, that's sick. What morbid, childless human being came up with that idea? So of course his letter gets ignored. He begins to plan his second attack. He tells his followers that the dolls are actually a deterrent for children to want to raise up the next godly generation. I don't know, something to do with children raising children and promoting single parenthood. Must not have fared too well with his congregation because 3 days after his doom doll sermon, he goes and takes his issues into the public light. In 1983, he and his organization begin to release pamphlets on these dolls with the title of Cabbage Patch Dolls Are Evil. And he makes some pretty wild statements. Demons inhabit the dolls. The people who make the dolls are Satanists. The middle names of the dolls are anagrams of Hindu gods. What? He also warns parents against letting your daughter sleep in the same room as the doll. Are you ready for the weirdest statement ever made? Are you ready? Are you? Because the dolls will destroy the godly seed in your children, thus inhibiting the next godly generation. Is that not just the weirdest statement ever? Yes, it is. And he tells the parents to cleanse your house from this evil, and at one point even hosted a Cabbage Patch Kid doll bonfire. I mean, imagine your parents buy you a doll, you adopt it, care for it, maybe even love it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And then your parents rip it away from you and burn it right in front of you. Fun for the whole family. Time would pass and Bill's unrelenting rants just kept building up, even to a point that Bill's organization urged him to stop. When no one else would listen to his rants, he sold his story to the most reputable media source he could find, the National Enquirer. Hey, it has the world's third highest circulation rate, I'll have you know. After his little story appears, Bill disappears. Turns out that Bill's organization released him and he found employment with the Advanced Training Institute of the International Youth for God. And he managed to keep relatively quiet for a few years. In 1996, he published his decade-long teachings about the dolls, which has inspired an onslaught of internet websites dedicated to this very topic. A spot on Snopes.com, FocusOnlineCommunities.com, where they're dedicated to letting people know about the evils of the Cabbage Patch dolls. Even a Facebook page called Cabbage Patch Kids Are Evil. You know, I put in a friend's request and I still haven't heard back from them. Something tells me that Bill Gothard is still behind the scenes, training an army of youth for God to take on the enemy that is tearing our families apart, destroying our churches, blowing the national budget, sterilizing our young. And he's been fighting this enemy for the better part of 20 years. Who would have thought that a cloth doll would be such a formidable enemy? But you know what's never going to ask you to ritualistically burn your belongings? Episodes of PC Review. Thank you to username McD53. Great bit submission. Who knew there was actually something interesting about the Cabbage Patch Kids? Seriously though, I mean, look at these things. I kind of feel the same way about planking. Now, if you want to follow in McD53's footsteps, send any interesting or creative bits to the email link
above,
or find us on Twitter at the link below. As always, thanks for watching. I'm William McInnes and I approve this message.